Hello, welcome back to 340 Paddler. Today we need to turn our attention to the ground crew. I am trying to do some ground crew videos. I need to convince my ground crew to go on camera. But there are a number of things we need to deal with ground crew, so I'm going to start with some quick tips. First of all, ground crew is a difficult job. Your ground crew is going to have as much difficulty getting through this race as you are as a paddler. Because while you're paddling from point to point, they're frantically driving probably, from point to point, making sure that they've packed up everything and haven't left anything, possibly hauling a small child. You don't know whose small child, they've just picked one up somewhere. That's what happened to me. Now I have a daughter. And they're racing off to the next checkpoint, stopping somewhere in between to eat or get you something. And then when they get there, they only have maybe half an hour before you show up, depending how fast you're running. And they're trying to prep everything out and get down to the ramp. So, ground crew, do not underestimate what you're about to do. First, keep a cooler with ice in the car, maybe not with beer, but a cooler with ice in the car. This is something we learned my first year at the 340. My wife picked up something like this at Walmart, and what she does is she stops at the BP by the hotel in Kansas City, picks up, I think it's 10, it might be 20 pounds of ice, throws it in there. And then anything that needs to be kept cool goes in the cooler. If it's food, you can throw it in a Ziploc and throw it in there. If it's a Gatorade bottle, as long as it's not opened, who cares? Throw it in there. And then when she's refilling my water, she can simply drain the cold water out of the bottom. And it's a perfect system, refills it about every 24 hours. And just make sure you buckle it in the back seat. Ground crews, get some sleep. Seriously, my ground crew had serious issues the first year because she was putting too much pressure on herself and didn't get any sleep. You need to sleep as much as the racer, probably more. Why? Because your racer is relying on you. As we'll deal with later, the racers are in pretty bad shape by the time they're getting towards the second half of the race. Cheer your paddler by last name. This sounds insane, but when you have 250 boats sitting out there at the start yelling out, "Go Mike," is going to have about 12 people going, "Hey, someone's here to cheer me." That's great. And later in the race, your racer might not identify. So cheer them by last name, by nickname or team name, something that's going to stand out where they really know someone's cheering for them. Use a wagon. Go to Walmart. These are 40, 50, 60 bucks, somewhere in there. And get one of these folding wagons, and you will be so thrilled. Because there are some long hikes from where you park to the boat ramp itself. So this is going to make your life a lot easier. And make sure that you mark your wagon. Everyone has a red wagon. So to avoid confusion, paint something on it, or get an odd color, or put that toddler that you picked up at some point along the race in it, and then no one will go near it because it's a toddler. Ask for help. The ground crews frequently have this idea that they're in it on their own as much as the paddler. Well, the paddler, as we've seen, isn't in it on their own. For the most part, there are always going to be people to paddle with. With the ground crew, by the time you get to about Waverly, you're going to know who your paddler's running with. Chum up with their paddle buddies, the ground crews of their paddle buddies, and work as a team. So when that group comes in, you can all help each other out and hopefully make it a little more relaxing. Finally, your paddler will become a toddler. I'm sorry, paddlers. This has to be said. By the time we get towards the end of the race, by the time, in my case, I get somewhere between Jeff City and Herman, I go from fully grown adult to 3-year-old. So keep that in mind. Your paddler's brain isn't necessarily working. They could get irritated at you for no apparent reason. Keep an eye on them. You are the one who has to make sure that they're actually being safe and not doing something that is absolutely insane. Trust me, really crazy ideas come through the minds of paddlers while they're out there. So bring us some sanity, and remember, your paddler is no longer that adult that you're married to or whatever. They are now basically a 3-year-old until they get some sleep. So hopefully these are helpful. We'll do another set of ground crew videos hopefully later this week or in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, quarrels, qualms, quandaries, curse words, or topics you'd like me to address, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, this is 340 Paddler, hoping you keep your paddle in the water.